Let us pray. Gracious God, may the words of my mouth, may the meditations of our hearts and our minds, even our spirits, may all of these be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, there are moments in our lives, extraordinary, unexpected moments, when the divine, like dewdrops, fall upon our lives. It's like a surprise baptism, just a drop of grace out of nowhere. And sometimes, like an actual dewdrop, it comes to us in the dark, cold night of our souls, that dewdrop. Other times it sneaks up on us in the bright light of day through ordinary, sometimes even unlikely people. But when such moments do come to us, however and through whomever they do come to us, we are changed. We are changed instantly and forever. When our secret shame is met with acceptance, it changes us. When our guilt is dissolved by the Spirit of forgiveness, it heals us. When our failures are met with mercy and with compassion, when someone lightens our burden by sharing it with us, unasked and without strings attached, it changes the way that we see life, the way we see ourselves, the way we see others. When guidance and wisdom is offered without judgment and without expectation, it can change the course of our lives. Now, I don't know which one of these Mary of Bethany received from Jesus. But whichever it was, whatever form of grace came to her in the moments that she had with Jesus, it affected her profoundly. It changed her. Now, out of gratitude, she anointed Jesus with that very expensive jar of oil. And that, in turn, touched Jesus, his heart, his spirit. This gesture just days before his death. He said that wherever the gospel story is told, that act of generosity and gratitude by Mary will forever be told. That moment of generosity will be remembered forever. And of course, he's right. We're here in Bal Harbor, thousands of miles away, talking about it still today. Such moments of grace changes hearts and lives instantly and forever. And that is how God changes the world. Now, the truth is, we may wish that God would change the world in other ways besides that one. We wish that God would change the world in ways that are a little less dependent on us. We'd like Jesus to jump in, to wave a magic wand, to do things, to change things, to create things like justice and healing and peace in us and in our world. We'd like God to do for us, but without us. And that's just not the way that God works. It's not the way that God works. Instead, whenever God needs to or wants to create change in the world, God sends a person, not a magic wand. A person to live and share and create moments that touch and change the lives and hearts and minds of others, so that those so now changed, are inspired and commissioned and committed to also share moments of grace in their lives. And that sends sacred ripples through the community, person to person, heart to heart, and soul to soul. And whether we like it or not, whether we think it's an effective strategy for change or not, that is the biblical account of how God brings change to the world. Not with a magic wand, but through people. Ordinary, unlikely, imperfect people, just like us. Just like Noah and Abraham, like Moses and the first disciples, that is God's way. So whether we like it or not, we have to accept the fact that we, in fact, are God's magic wand. That's us. We are the instrument through which God's power, God's hope, God's vision flow into this world. This is how things change, if they are to change. This almost magical and certainly miraculous metamorphosis. It begins in the hearts and the minds of people. It spreads to community. It happens through the life of Abraham, through the life of Jacob, through the life of Moses, and even through those often hapless lives of the first disciples. It's through them that God's blessing is known and received. And that is still true today. If we are to know God's blessing, if our hearts and communities are to be changed, that change will come, as it always has, through people. Through imperfect, improbable, ordinary lives of people just like us. And that's happening right now, 5 stories up in the church school. The church school teachers are sharing the stories of biblical greats before us, the faithful through whom God changed the world. But more than that, those teachers are sharing moments of grace to the children. They're offering acceptance and compassion. By example, they're teaching about forgiveness. They're helping to share what feel like heavy burdens. They're offering wisdom and understanding without any strain. And because they are, they're changing lives. Like Carolyn's life was changed as she welcomed us this morning. So today is the day, teacher and graduate recognition, that we stop for a moment to give them thanks. It's the day that we stop and acknowledge the blessing and the beauty that they bring into our lives and the lives of all of our children. And through our children and through our graduates, the blessing they bring to this world in numerous yet unknown ways. But also today, we don't just stop and remember and celebrate. We also celebrate all the people in our lives, not just the church school teachers, that have changed us. When they shared with us moments of grace that changed our hearts, our lives, our vision instantly and forever. When divine grace, like dewdrops, fell into our lives. With acts of acceptance and care, undeserved mercy and forgiveness, an unexpected helping hand, and a love so strong it can erase shame and division. But today we are here to do even more than that. We're here not only to acknowledge and to remember and give thanks for such moments and people in our lives, we are here to pick up their mantle, to follow their example. For in each moment of our lives, in every interaction, each challenge we face, each difficulty, there is a window of opportunity, a portal to God's presence. And in those moments, will we open that window? Will we open the portal for God's presence? Will we let the breeze and the blessing of God's Spirit in so it can fill us up and fill this world with love? Or, out of fear or shame, embarrassment, or we're too busy, will we just keep that window closed? Before you decide, before you act, remember this, that God acts through you. That you are God's magic wand. You are the spigot of God's Spirit here on earth. Either God's Spirit will flow through you in that moment that has the power to change lives, or it won't. So choose wisely, choose faithfully, that through you all the world might